How's it going, friends and family of the internet? Welcome to the Real AF TV podcast, the show about fishing and random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I'm one of your hosts, Josh LaBaw.
And I am another host, Tim Wagner. Have I ever called myself a host? Maybe I have before. Did I ever say another host? I'm another one. Like we have more than two. I don't know. I'm the other host. I should have said.
There you go.
I'm another other host.
Well, we're only on episode 51, Tim. One day.
One of these days we'll figure it out.
We'll get it figured out.
One of these days maybe we'll talk about what we're going to do before we start going.
That sounds like a lot of work and not the live to tape feel that we usually go. If this is your first time listening, this is an every other week podcast. That's right. Every other Monday, we drop the Real AF TV podcast on all the podcast services like iTunes and iHeart and all that stuff, and YouTube, of course. And then in the off week,
right.
Every Wednesday and Friday, we drop the fishing topic on the Wednesday, and on the Friday, we drop the random take, and that's only over on the YouTube channel. Look us up, Real AF TV, Real like Fishing Real. This week, we did not do that. No,
nope.
This last week, we did not do that because we went off on iCast. 2 hours of just talking iCast.
And I could have went for like 3 more if I would have if I could have the resources to know everything about, like, if we went to an iCast, it'd be like, could check out our 8-hour special. You know?
Look for it in 2023.
Right.
8-hour iCast special. I'm kidding. I don't even know if I have the hard drive space for an 8-hour special.
Right. Yeah. And just have calling in favors and stuff. Hitting up small businesses. What do you guys' server rooms look like?
You got any server space?
We went to iCast.
We're going to house an 8-hour podcast.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So this is typically where we kick it off right away in the beginning with fishing news. But first, I just want to go into some housekeeping. And that is to say that iTunes, Spotify, I think no, I don't think anyways, iTunes and Spotify, right? They have reviews that helps us out. So if you can go over there and leave a review, that'd be great. I think Spotify still only gets reviews in the app on the phone, phone app. So, you know, if
I definitely know that I was able to review it on the app. I've never tried and through the browser version, but
right.
It definitely
and I usually
use
I usually use the app on PC, and I still don't even see it on the PC app. So I do think it is exclusive to the phone. So hey, if you're listening on there, help us out. Now into the fishing news, where we do the quick fishing news, then we're getting into the fishing topic, then we're getting into the random take in the back half. Fishing topic, catfish, back half, cartoons. Catfish and Cartoons, this episode 51. It's got a good name. Now, the fishing news. Is that an invasive species I smell? Or am I just happy to see you?
I don't know. This is all sorts of dirty. This is smell. You get happy to see. You get happy to see somebody, and there's a smell. Just like, oh man.
I felt pretty good about writing that one. I was like, all right. I'm not gonna lie. This is an outdoor news published. Again, shout out to Outdoor News. Man, they really bring the goods.
Outdoor News is fantastic.
Yeah, they really are. That is not their headline. Of course, that was my clickbait headline. What their real headline is: North Dakota Walleye Tournament brings mussel sniffing dogs. And yeah, I see your face. For those who are not looking at the video podcast, I'm going to pause.
Well, I have a lot of. So I'm guessing the mussel sniffing dogs are like for when the boats are done for the day and they're getting pulled out of the water. The dogs are sniffing for mussels to make sure they're not leaving the lake.
It was not specific about that, and I'll find out why, or you'll find out why here in a second. Okay. It didn't specify that, but
yeah,
it implied that it was actually going to sniff them before they went into the water.
Oh, that makes
Seeming
sense.
like South Dakota and this specific
Yeah.
lake, but it really kind of implied that South Dakota in general doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really have a zebra mussel problem right now. And now
Oh,
I could be
that
wrong.
makes more sense.
So if you're from South Dakota, please hit us up in the comments on the YouTube video, or go to realaf.tv/contact, because
Yeah.
it just the way that this article was written, it was kind of, I took that from reading between the lines. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
And so they got these dogs. They're for they brought them in. So this was written on July 5th. So if this tournament's over, there, South Dakotans listening to this, let me know. But they brought them in for the governor's walleye tournament. That was the
Okay.
whole purpose of bringing them in. So they brought them in a little bit early. They're from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. That's where the dogs are partnered with the Washington State Game and Wildlife Department.
Okay.
Fish and Wildlife. Sorry, not Game and Wildlife. Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife. So they partnered with the Army Corps and they trained up these dogs. And it's pretty fucking cool, I thought.
That is cool. And it makes a lot of sense to have it the other way around. To not be like, don't take stuff out of this lake and bring it to your next one. To be like, this lake is nice. There's a reason we're holding a tournament here.
Mm-hmm,
Don't
mm-hmm.
fuck it up. Like we have these dogs ready to sniff. Like that makes sense. But I wonder how practical that is.
Yeah. I'm not sure, because it's a pretty big tournament from everything that I understand. And
yeah.
So yeah, I said zebra mussels. These dogs are also trained to sniff out guaga mussels. Quagga. I'm gonna call them quagga mussels. Who knows?
Guessing probably some shit real close.
Right. It has to be like a related species or something like that. Right, I didn't look it up because zebra mussels in Minnesota rings clear as a bell. Like we just get that.
Yep, we get them. Yeah, and it's on the big clear lakes, most of them. Like they make the water like crazy clear. I don't know if they're like a filtration system. I've never looked into the reasoning, but if there's zebra mussels on that lake, that water is clear.
Right. And we will one day. I looked into them a little bit, but we won't. But one day we're gonna get into zebra mussels for sure, because it's something that I'm in. I want to figure out a little bit more of what's going on there. But if you don't know, they're just like, they're shells. They're mussels inside a shell, and they're not supposed to be there, and it throws off the local ecosystem, and it really impacts the fish that we prefer to fish right now. Is kind of how it's going. It's impacting their environment of.
And from what I've known, they're little and they replicate like crazy.
Yeah, their breeding cycles short, I think, is how you put that.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff where they bring stuff up from an infected lake, and it like just covered in zebra mussels.
Just bam! The next thing you know, it's zebra mussels.
Yeah, just gnarly.
So yeah, that was it. I just wanted to be like, hey,
cool though,
dude. Yeah, there's dogs out there now sniffing out the mussels, and like they're hoping to make more dogs available and get more dogs and stuff like that to help out with this situation. So
right,
I thought
that's crazy cool. That those dogs have, like, I always know that they have like good noses and stuff, and when you're trying to like find like drug sniffing dogs, when they're looking for chemicals or weed or whatever, like you think like, okay, that makes sense. You're sniffing through a suitcase that smells like plastic, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh there's I can smell chemicals, or whatever it is. Like I can point that out.
Yep.
But like the bottom of a boat where it all smells like this weird mucky shit, and then they're just like, there's a clear difference between a mussel that's, I mean, obviously there's probably a couple of them, but like like the size of a dime, they can sniff that out, and past the smell of like the weird muck from the lake already, because lakes have a weird bacterial smell most of the time, or like algae or whatever too. Like
just there's biology in there. There's a lot of biology in the water.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's great. Just the nose of a dog. And how some of them are so good with them, and mine, I gotta like point at the like chip laying on the floor, like, it's right there, idiot. How do you not find it?
I just dropped a Dorito on the floor, and you're not finding it?
I'm pretty sure I could sniff out a Dorito.
Oh, awesome, Tim. We will definitely touch back on the zebra mussel, but let's get into housekeeping here, where this is the part where I just go real quick about, go over to realaftv.com or realaf.tv, realaf.tv or .com works too, but go over to realaf.tv. That's right. Real like fish and reel, and give us some feedback by hitting up the contact page. We really actually see those, and we actually really will respond, or possibly even read it on the TV. read it on the podcast.
You're on TV.
I don't know where my brain was on that one.
Hey, it's coming out the first time. Like, if we read it on here, it's just like, welcome to TV. Here's your message.
But anyways, we appreciate all the feedback, even in the YouTube comments. If you go over there and check it out, if you're listening on the podcast service, that'd be cool to go over there and just leave a little comment. Don't forget that the reviews, again, help us out a ton, and liking and subscribing and stuff over on the YouTube channel, because we do have YouTube videos. We will have more coming. We do have fishing videos, and like and subscribe so you get caught up on that. Also, it's brought to you by Monster Bass and the Real AF TV Patreon, but we will talk about that later.
Yeah.
But Tim did just get a new thing for the podcast. I just got a new thing for the podcast. Patreon is the best way to support us. Just want to let you know. We can keep getting new stuff and improving.
That's right. Stepping up our game.
Yeah. Speaking of stepping up our game, we got to get out catfishing.
Yeah. But before, I'm going to step on your lead here, because you said, speaking of stepping up our game.
Oh, boy.
On the news here.
What do we got? What do we got?
I don't have it yet. It's on the way. But I just made a purchase today it's a Gen 3, not the Gen 4, which is the newest, nicest model. So I do not have live imaging capabilities, nor would I be able to use it even if I did have it, because the live imaging transducer is $1,400 just for the transducer. So I don't have that. But I did just make the purchase of a new Humminbird Helix, the Gen 3, that is the networking. It has mega side imaging, it has mega down imaging, and it has the networks capability for down the road when I get the nice Minn Kota trolling motor, so it can communicate with it and I can use the iPilot. So I was able to get the networking capabilities, which in a Gen 4 is like, I think they retail it for like $920 or whatever, which is the Gen 4. I got the Gen 3. Right. I got it new on eBay from some guy in Georgia. I'm not going to tell you the price, but I don't pay full. I don't ever pay full price. I can't do it. If I was a tournament fisherman and I had like sponsors and stuff and they were helping me out, for sure, I'd just be like, yes, yeah, all the new things,
Right. But dude, you got your side imaging though. That's been that's been a thread throughout I swear, since we started summer.
Yep. So as long as
hell yeah, dude.
As long as USPS doesn't let me down and it arrives here undamaged and stuff, it's
right.
New in an open box so they could show all the components and stuff. But
right.
It's a new unit, just one generation old, which is the only difference that I could see is that the new one has the mega live imaging if you drop 1400 on a transducer, and Wi-Fi capabilities, which for what I can figure out, like doesn't even have a use yet. It's like for future applications,
I think.
So
oh wait, maybe that was Garmin. My bad. Never mind.
Hey, but yeah, I like to. I've always had the Minn Kota trolling motors, and that's what I plan on like linking it up with down the road and stuff. Yeah. So for the future, it's definitely, even the down imaging and everything. Like the image is supposed to be way more crisp, way more detail, plus side imaging. And it's a 7-inch display, which my old one's a 5-inch display, so it's a little bit bigger. I'd like to get bigger, but dude, I it's so crazy the price difference is. Like if you go to a 10-inch unit or a 9-inch unit, even you're talking like $1,400. It's like double the price.
What?
And you're like, I think I'll just maybe look into like one of those magnifying like screen things where I just like put it over it and it makes it look bigger. Like I know that there's like I know that there's more pixels in the detail and stuff.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say it must be like the difference between like a 1080 monitor and a 4K monitor or something at that point, or a 720
is.
monitor and a 1080. That's the
Yeah.
only, but still, that shouldn't be that much, unless it is in fact 4K. But
Yeah, and
why?
we're talking.
It seems overkill.
Yeah, we're talking Helix here, and there's 2 models above a Helix. There's like the Solus, and then there's another one too. So I mean,
God damn.
Oh, dude, it's gnarly. Like when you start looking into them, like I started almost getting myself into trouble because I was like, I'd really like to have this, and I'd like to have this, and you're like, well, I'm not that far away from this price point at that point, and it really makes sense to just go to here. And eventually, like after tax and stuff, I'm like, what am I doing?
Right.
And then I found this one on eBay and pulled the trigger and just go, no, was that the right move? And I go, shut up, stupid. It was it was the right move.
I know, because we love to just go into research and like know, but you're right. That's the one thing you have to do is just like tell yourself, no, dude, it was the right move.
And another thing, like we had that budget fishing that one time, like if you know you're looking for this stuff, like keep an eye on it, keep looking and stuff. Because I've been looking for like 2 weeks, and I know 2 weeks hasn't been a long time, but I've been really researching and seeing the prices and looking for sales. And then all of a sudden, randomly, there's like one guy selling 1 unit.
Right.
And it's like cheaper than all the other ones. Plus it was like a or best offer. So I shot him like a $50 like cheaper offer, and he accepted. And I'm like, I can't hesitate. Boom, pull the trigger.
Right.
So yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
And just make sure they're right. They're legit. And like, obviously I could be getting ripped off if they're able to figure it out somehow. But the guys has been around for 11 years on eBay, and he's got a bunch of positive reviews, and he's got a bunch of other stuff that he's selling right now, and looks legit. I haven't got it yet, so I'm trying not to. This is me trying not to jinx myself, because I don't want to just be like, it's great, everything's great, it's gonna be the best. So I'm trying to like get out in front of it and just being like, everything's not okay, guys. I don't know for sure. Just over here, and then as soon as it gets here in the mail, I'm just gonna like smash everything in my house. Like, it's real. It's real.
It's real. Oh, hell yeah, dude. That is awesome. Yes. I'm so excited for you. Before we get in, okay, so let's jump into the catfish.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm gonna tie that in actually, because I got questions and thoughts on the catfishing and the everything you just got. Now I just want to say something real quick. We did armored catfish in episode 37. If you don't know, go back and listen. It's good.
Yes.
We'll reference it again later. Trust me, it's gonna get referenced again. That was armored catfish. This is catfish. This is a general catfish. Because I love me some catfish. Cooking, eating it. I've not done enough fishing, catching, cooking of catfish.
Yeah.
That's one of my goals for this year. I want to do a catfish fry, like a legit catfish fry, right? I want to learn how to fry it. I already know how to cook it. Want to learn how to clean it, catch it, all that stuff.
Right.
And know thy enemy, man. So you just the beauty high level right here. We're about to get into it. Go ahead.
And I was gonna say the beauty about a catfish fry too is like you catch one good fish and then boom,
you have a fry.
You know, fish fry. We got enough meat to
right.
We're good.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's exactly it. We'll get to that definitely down here, down the list here. But to go back to all the gear that you just bought.
Yeah.
You said down imaging, because I don't fully understand down imaging, I'm already going, that's what fish finders do.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What
So
does that
down
mean? And would that be good for a muddy fish even? Like, would that
yeah,
get catfish? Would that pick up good on cats because they're always on the
yeah,
ground?
yeah, for sure. So down imaging is like I don't really know exactly how it works,
Okay.
but the sonar gives you like the read of like where everything's bouncing up, and the fish display as like arcs where it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like it looks like a boomerang almost.
Yeah.
Down imaging, the fish show up as dots. Like it almost gives you a
Oh,
picture of what it sees. So I
what?
don't know exactly how it works, but the detail of like the weeds and stuff, like you can
Mhm.
clearly see exactly what you're looking at when it's down imaging.
Oh,
Yeah, and the mega
wild.
down imaging and the pictures and stuff, a lot of times those pictures are like super crystal clear. They're like on like a no windy day of like some structure that it's picking up really well, but like there'll be a
Mhm.
tree down there
Mhm.
and it'll be like, that's a tree. Like no doubt about it. I can see there's a tree down there, you know?
That's
Where
so
like the
sweet.
sonar will show you that there's something down there, but
Okay.
it's a little bit harder to tell, especially like the coloring. The down imaging coloring, you can kind of choose the different colors, but it's like
Mhm.
a black background with like
Mhm.
a most of the time it's like a tan image, and
Mm.
it gives you it just kind of like a picture
The
really. And
contours of yeah.
yeah,
It's not like
and
a
you
color
can
photo like today we think of as like a
right.
picture is just like a snapshot of real life in the moment.
Yeah.
You're talking about like a version of a black and white photo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
pretty
it's
much,
really the
yeah.
contours of it.
Yeah, it's like a sepia tone, like black and
Yeah.
white photo.
Yeah, 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 dude.
Yeah.
Good way of
And it
putting it. Okay.
yeah, and like it gives you some information. Like for some reason, sometimes some of that shows up on down imaging that doesn't show up on sonar and vice versa. It's kind of weird like that. So
Okay.
maybe the mega imaging will be a little bit more crisper and I
Mhm.
won't get that. But like my dad has a Helix 5
Okay.
where it just has the regular down imaging.
Okay.
And I will put that on the view mode when we're using his boat, where it goes split screen, where there's sonar on one side and down imaging on the other. So I'm basically getting the same picture just in two different ways.
Okay. Okay.
And in the middle, it
Ah.
shows like a little bar that looks like a flasher. So the bar that's in the middle is basically doing what like an ice fishing flasher does.
Oh,
So
interesting. Okay.
it's giving you the same information like three different ways,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you just gotta trying to decipher like what you're seeing, you
Sure.
know,
Sure.
do your
It's just
best.
it's more
So
information, and then you're the computer.
right,
You're
exactly.
processing all of that information to find the
Yeah,
right fish. And so,
yeah,
since catfish and they're not necessarily ambush predators, but, like, what I read up on is, like, they're bottom dwellers, They tend to
yeah.
be and just so pretty much everything I got from catfish from Britannica. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, just to
Yeah,
shout out Britannica and let it be known, these tend to get sciencey and nerdy, and I look up shit. I look up a lot of shit.
yeah, dude.
But yeah, they tend to, they're they're on the bottom. They're bottom feeders. I mean,
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. And so I was like, that's that to me is just a completely because this technology that you're talking about tends to be bass fished most of the time. Am I wrong saying that?
the technology
Yeah,
is
so your mega down
yeah.
imaging, right? It's developed
Oh,
and
yeah.
tested bass fishing for the most part. Is that
I
accurate?
think for the most part, yeah, because it's the most popular sport fish. So I
Right.
think that that's
Okay.
like the go-to where they really want, that's where the money is.
Mhm. Okay.
So I
Yeah,
would assume that
that's
that's
a
what
good
they're
way to
going
put it too,
for.
because
Yeah.
the more people, more money, right? Like, can you
Right.
build
Yep.
for that? Sure. Okay.
Yeah. But I think a lot of the same technology is used offshore as well. So it's but I would say like hummingbirds technology, I'm pretty sure that it comes from like Georgia or something. They're in one of the southern states.
Oh, okay.
So I could almost guarantee you that it's one of two things. They're probably down there looking for bass and trying to learn like that, or looking for crappie,
right.
in
Yep.
those states.
Yeah.
But for sure, yeah, man, I think they probably use everything where it's kind of like bass is like on the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use it to try to learn the rest of it. Some of
Yeah.
those pros, when you listen to them talk,
Mm-hmm.
it is insane. Where like I saw Timmy Horton one time
Mm-hmm.
driving through and he's talking about it and he's like, "Oh, see how there's 4 fish right there? Like the bass that we're looking for don't do what these are doing, and those are catfish, so we're not gonna cast at those." Like he could just see the
Oh.
dots and see how they were bunched up, and he'd be like, "Those are catfish."
And he
That's why they're like,
knew.
yeah,
Sick.
yeah. So they
Dude,
like
that's
you just
cool. He just
yeah,
knew, like, fish behavior. Like, I didn't read anything about catfish bunching up or
r-
anything like that,
well,
but to
right,
know the way it's probably to know the way the down imaging picks up those bottom feeders, right? Because they
right,
definitely live in different areas of the water.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
spawning
and
bass fish are right on
right,
the bottom too, but just in a
yeah,
different way for
and
sure.
the bass, well, right, the bass will school up, but they don't like sit on top of each other. So I think
Mhm,
it's like
mhm.
how he could just see like those are fish and how they're sitting on top of each other. I just know
Nice.
what they are. Yeah. So, and that all just comes with experience and stuff. So I'm sure they all know what they're doing. And in those kind of lakes where they have all the different stuff, I think it's probably even more critical down there where you're
Mhm.
using some of those like really dirty lakes and stuff
Right.
down south
Yes.
where you can't see anything.
Yep.
They're really trying to learn everything with their sonar because they can't see a thing.
Right. Because it's
Where
just
up here,
nothing.
like bass fishing, the sonar is important, but I've got away with, like I can't even remember. I want to say I was mid to late 20s before I even had a depth finder.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was able to
And it's not like
fish
that's
no
when you started fishing.
no, I was fishing for a long time and doing just fine on the lakes that I fished, just being able to sight fish. And then I did ended up getting a GPS unit where I knew about where I was. But every time you
Mhm.
upgrade a little bit more,
Right, right.
it gets you into that next level to the
Yep.
point where Timmy Horton is even just going like nothing but catfish down there. I'm not even taking that
Emily
cast.
catfish. Yep.
Where I'm like, we'll see if there's a fish down here.
Right, right, right. So eventually that thing's gonna catch us some catfish is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think from what I've heard about catfish and stuff, especially on rivers,
Yeah.
is that they hold tight to the structure. And if
Yeah.
you're on a
Okay.
river where you don't know where anything is, because again, like the Mississippi is dirty, and I got
Mhm.
side imaging that's showing me that there's a you know down tree floating in the water right there. It's like,
Mhm.
oh shit, found as a catfish spot. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
a lot about catfish, but
Right.
yes, I think it's going to help in every regards, and then the forward facing as well,
Oh, yeah,
where
yeah.
they can shine. It is when we talked in the iCast thing with the target lock. They know
Right,
that there's a tree right there. Lock
right,
onto that tree,
right,
and then just watch it, and all of a sudden you see a fish move. You're
right.
just like, oh, there's a fish in there.
Right, there it is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've seen some of those pictures come out so crystal clear. They might even be able to see that it's a catfish, like see the shape and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah, because that's also the characteristics of a catfish, right? To have that sort of broader head. I read that all of them. I think this might be a British thing because 'cause I'm pretty sure Britannica's British, but it said "barbles," and I was like, "We just call those barbs?" I don't what's barble? I
right,
don't understand. But it says, "All catfish have at least one set of barbs on their, upper jaw." Whiskers. That's what they are. All
yeah,
the cats
okay,
have whiskers, right? But some have
hmm
snout and chin and, like so you don't always see them, but, like, that's how they get their name, catfish, is
right, 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 right,
they have those whiskers on the front, and dude, if imaging could pick up on those whiskers and that flat not it's always
yeah,
not flat, but they have a broad head that
right.
is just different,
Well,
right?
it's even the shape is almost kind of like it's like a flat nose that kind of like the back raises up and then it comes down and they have a pretty broad tail. So I don't, from like a profile,
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
think you could show me something like I'm so used to the profile of the fish just from catching them even.
Mhm.
Like the other day we were driving down the road and there was a guy that had a fish sticker, a big fish sticker in the back window.
Mhm.
And I go, what the fuck is this guy into? because the fish looked so weird.
Yeah.
And then we get up close and the sticker was just like weathered, like where the back it just wasn't perfectly straight. And I'm like, oh, like it's just his sticker just started peeling off.
Oh,
So like,
and what was it? What was the fish?
I think it was like a muskie, but
And it just had kind of
because the back contour was just a little bit off, I was like, "What is that fish?" So it was like, is he like into like a weird big trout or something?
Oh, okay.
And then when we got closer, I'm like, "Oh, I think that's a muskie."
Yeah. And most catfish have that unique profile like that. There's actually a guy close to me that has that front straight on wide mouth barbs coming off the face. Like you can tell from a mile away, you're like, that's a big old catfish.
Right. Yeah.
And I just, that makes me wonder, did you know that they're venomous, dude? Some of them are venomous. So I don't know. I didn't go into just bullheads, but we'll get into bullheads here in a little bit, actually, because I got a cool fact. It said that in front of the dorsal fin and the pectoral fins, there's spines. Yeah. So that's usually where you get stabbed from. I always thought it came from the barbs, like we were just talking about the whiskers.
Oh, yeah. No.
I always thought it was those. It's not those.
No, those are harmless.
Yeah. Every time we caught a bullhead, they just, uncle, dad, whoever we were with, just fucking whack the thing against the side of the boat until it fell off. They didn't want to touch it. And they were like, they sting you. And I was like, what the hell? A sting? Bees sting. Fish don't sting. Turns out, the spines in the front are in the front of the dorsal and the pectoral fins. Some can be venomous.
Like, I guess I've always heard people say that they've stung you, but it's just because it like pokes you is what I always thought.
Right.
If I had heard that, if I had heard that they were venomous, it didn't stick. But I know that like the side, the two fins on the side, the ones up in the front,
fins, right?
Yeah, the pectorals.
Yep.
Those ones have the barbs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you're trying to release it, you got to kind of like grab it underneath and get your fingers so those fins almost go between, because I've never had any issues, but they can like stab you.
Right.
And I've seen videos of people being dumb with them and then like realizing like, oh, we screwed up. Like, cause I think they're like barbed where literally like to get it out, you're like gonna rip some meat out. Really? But I just saw one pretty recently where the guy had like a small catfish or bullhead. I don't know how to tell the difference.
Right. Yeah, it's hard.
The same.
Yeah.
But he just kind of like swung it at his friend's like butt cheek. Like the guy had like his pants kind of like hiked up and he just kind of swung it slowly. But the fin just goes right in.
God.
And he goes, and just like, yeah, dude, what were you thinking? And then they couldn't get it out. Like it just stays stuck to him.
Because it's barbed.
Yeah. So it's like, what are you doing? But yeah, I never knew that they were venomous. Like that's gonna suck.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't say specifically what, like I would have had to dive down the rabbit hole, right? This is the high level to say, but it definitely was like, oh yeah, there's spines, there's stingers, probably the they will leave venom behind.
Yeah. Probably the small ones are the venomous ones,
Oh,
that's probably their like,
their defense mechanism.
Yeah, the big ones probably don't need it. The small ones are the ones that have it, and he's the one that he got hit by a small one. Like,
yeah, short of like the Portuguese man of war, like it's usually the small jellyfish that fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So you're making a really good point. Or like the toads, right? The little toads that are poisonous, not the big ones.
Right, the little ones. Yeah, they're the ones that have the most stuff, or the bright colors.
Yep.
Because you're just like, stay away from them. Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
This one blew my mind, Tim. I'm going to go back to catfish, of course.
All right.
Did you know that they don't have scales?
I did. Yes.
To me, it just didn't make sense to me. Obviously, I've had a catfish. I mean, I shouldn't say obviously, but we've been catfishing before. We've talked about it before on the podcast.
Yeah.
Held a catfish. Had a catfish like partially cleaned from the butcher. You can see there's still skin, fins and stuff left on it. You can tell. Just didn't dawn on me.
Yeah, they're scales. Smooth. Yeah, they're smooth. They feel different. It's weird.
Totally blew my mind. Like in the dumbest way, because like I knew that. but like to just hear, to just read, like that's not scales. You're like, oh yeah, it's called naked.
Naked. I didn't know that.
That's what Britannica called it. They're like, catfish are either naked or armored. And I was like, oh yeah, we've covered the armored part. The bony, they're like bony. Yep, the bony That's scales. Crazy. And I was like, the bony plates, right? You can't say scales because they're not scales. They're bony plates.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, naked or armored, huh? That's pretty cool.
They are either ready for battle or they're ready for battle.
Catfish are pretty cool.
They're pretty cool, bro. They're either armored or they're naked.
Or they're naked.
Which one are you trying to catch? Naked. I think I would.
I think. Let's listen to me struggle through scientific pronunciations for a second.
Hey, before you do that, because I don't want to forget about it, because I did forget about it and it just popped in again. I know you were like, oh, this is some nerdy stuff. Don't anybody be discouraged about getting nerdy on this stuff. Some of the best fishermen in the world have studied marine biology. And when you think like a fish, you catch the fish. So don't be scared to get, diving deep in there. If you can learn everything about that fish and what it does and how it acts and stuff, you're going to be a better fisherman when you're coming to catching it, and figure out its bait too. Yeah. Figure out what they do. So anyways.
No, thank you for saying that, because I've been implying that in my mind, right? Like I just want, thank you for saying that, because in my mind, I'm just like, I mean, the more you study on this stuff, even down to this level of going like any order of fishes are of the Siller. Here we go. I even practiced it several times before coming up to this. And then I read it and I'm like, damn it. I question myself. Silleriformes.
Silleriformes. Latin is a dead language for a reason.
Yeah, dude. Silleriformes. Or formis, I say, because it ends in an es. So Silleriformes. Silleriformes are catfish. Anything of that is a catfish. And then they're like, and then there's a super order. So any order of Silleriformes are catfish. And then there's a super order that is Ostryphils. And it's basically like Ostryphils. Yep. Ostryphils. Something like that. And they're like, that's just what freshwater fish are. Almost all freshwater fish fall in this category. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm going to make myself struggle through two Latin words just to explain. One is like, most fucking fresh fish are that. But you could probably, Silleriformes, and you can probably Google something and you can really get into catfish and go down a rabbit hole if you want. One day we'll keep going into more catfish, because this is a general catfish podcast, right? So to even talk more about how general we're going to get on this is there's nearly 2,900 species of catfish.
That's
2,900 kinds of catfish.
That's so crazy.
Isn't that wild to think about? I bet you when we finally get around to doing bass, there's not that many. Dude, we did a crappie episode. There was like 4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, there's got to be some that are like close, where I can't think of the name right now, but there's like a fish that they have over in Australia. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like a bass. Mm-hmm. But that's still like, I think you have like largemouth and smallmouth bass. Mm-hmm. And then maybe that thing in Australia. And I don't know what else.
I probably think white bass, right? Maybe
because they're so different. Because I think bass are almost even technically like in the panfish category. They're just like a big different version.
Okay,
but they're in their own category, and then panfish are their own category. But even still, if you put panfish in the category of like bass, like a white bass and a largemouth bass don't look anything alike, and catfish are like
Right.
all the same. They're just like different sizes.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly
That's
why I
crazy.
wanted to bring up the weird scientific term of siluriforms, because, and I said it different every time. Somebody cut that out.
Here, check this out. Check this out. Ready?
Okay. What you
If
got?
anybody was, I gotta play this because if anybody's watching me, like look at my phone for a while because I want to hear. Oh, come on! You gonna do this to me? I have it like pulled up and it's supposed to play it and it doesn't say anything.
It does nothing. No sound coming out of the phone today.
How to say it, and then it just doesn't do.
Whoa!
You hear that?
Yeah.
Siluriformes.
I was way off.
The thing too is like, where is this person from even?
Samsonite.
Right. I would assume that that's how you're supposed to say it regardless of where you're from. Maybe they're saying it with an accent. Siluriformes.
Yep. I would guess, because that's kind of the reason behind Latin, is it's not supposed to.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's nuts, dude. I did not see that coming.
Siluriformes. Okay, sure. So siluriformes. But that's why I wanted to bring it up, because there's 2,900 freaking catfish.
That's crazy.
Siluriformes. There's 2,900 different species. And I was just like, no, dude, we've done other episodes like this. This is fucking crazy. And there's only a few that are in saltwater. Like almost all of them. It had two families that were outside of freshwater. They're just two families of fish.
That's even crazy to think about. Like how many fish do that? Where there's salt and freshwater versions of the same fish. Yeah, like we just learned last week too with the news of the world record being broken for the fish, that stingray.
Right.
So stingray's on that category of freshwater and saltwater, but how many other?
Right. But how many more? Because also think about a stingray. No scales.
No scales.
Sharks.
So there's
no scales, right?
No scales. I think there's freshwater sharks too.
There are a few freshwater sharks. Yeah, I think they're in the Amazon, right?
Yeah, so if you don't have scales.
But I wonder if that has something to do with it. How weird is that? Because think about it,
so weird.
Even salmons, born freshwater, spawn in freshwater, live in the ocean. That doesn't count.
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. They just go there
for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Weird.
So freaking weird, dude.
Weird.
Yeah. And this is where we're going to get into bullheads quick, Tim.
Yeah.
Because there's brown bullhead. I think we have them here in Minnesota. You correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know.
I think we do. I know we have black bullhead for sure, but I would think that brown are here too, I believe.
I think they are. And this is why too. Yeah, and this is why I wanted to bring this one up, is because all catfish, saltwater, freshwater, right? They lay eggs. It doesn't matter. Fish lay eggs. That's how it goes.
Yep.
Some sharks give birth to live ones, but we're not talking about sharks, damn it.
Right. They're different. Yep.
They're still eggs technically, and then they're born live. That's a weird, different situation. The brown bullhead, dude, builds a nest and protects it. Sounds familiar?
Yeah.
So
sounds like a bird.
Sounds like a fucking bass.
I know.
That was awesome.
You going bird? Is that what you're doing? No.
You going for bird? You going for the bird thing? Yes, we're talking about fish on the Fishing Podcast, and
yeah.
Shit. Oh, but I was just thinking
because. Yeah, I think because you called it a nest is why I thought bird too. Because I think most people refer to it as a bed.
As a bed, okay, yeah. Okay. Maybe that's also British then too, right? I should.
Oh, could be, yeah. And people could. Maybe it's even different when it's a catfish where they're just like they'll make a nest. You know, I don't know. Because it might be the where they're found. Where it's a little bit different terminology because of the rivers and stuff that they're laying in, but they're also in lakes and stuff. But yeah, dude, it does. The other crazy thing, like a bass. So I've never seen it in Minnesota because we have different style of catfish and stuff. But I've seen overseas the catfish with the big wavy leg or the tail.
Mm-hmm.
where they're, for some reason, these crazy people are fishing in those like inflatable tubes where your feet are in the water and they're fighting like
It's like literally
150-pound
a
catfish.
tractor tire inner tube.
Yeah, and then you're just floating in it, and it's open to. Well, it's even worse than like a tractor tire inner tube for me. It's scarier because it's like because so those are made for fishing where they're like a U-shaped opening in the front, and you sit there, and they're made for you to put flippers on, and you're literally
Oh,
like the motor. So your feet are in
oh,
flippers, and they're in the water, and
you're
they're
hanging
right
out
there.
in the water. Yep.
And I
Okay,
don't know
I
what
got you.
else is in these rivers, so maybe that's like part of the part that scares me or whatever. But those
Right.
catfish are just massive, and they're
Huge.
getting bit like right in front of them, like it's right there. It's so like it just looks intense.
Oh my God.
But those catfish, I see those guys catching those catfish on topwater baits all the time, like they're fishing for
What?
muskies. Yeah, dude, they're smashing the
What the fuck?
topwater baits. Oh no,
Really?
yeah, that doesn't work
Huh.
here. And like how you just said, notorious for being like bottom feeders, but
Yeah, yeah.
apparently some
Full
aren't.
on. I,
Yeah, or apparently
somehow
some are
or
just like super territorial where they're not even
right.
trying to feed, they're just hitting something on the surface to, like get away from my
Right.
nest. I
Right. Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah. I wonder if
but
that means
I've
other
seen it quite a
things.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the perfect example of just the way that we got into it with the like with the we do this so that more, right? Like do that because
Yeah.
one, I do want to go bullhead fishing sometime. I want to see what all of it's about. And it's just like, well, if we know that this bullhead does that and you already know how to fish spawning bass, I don't know.
Right.
If we found out specifically when this is spawning, maybe we
Right.
can invoke the same
Yeah.
response just using bass fishing techniques. Like, could
Right.
work. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, they're territorial. Like, even with bass, when they're spawning,
Hmm.
there's a lot of times where, like, if you put something in their bed, they're not eating it because they're hungry. They're eating it because they want to get rid of it. And
Mm.
sometimes
Hmm.
they won't even. I've witnessed where they'll like pick it up and like just turn their head and spit it back out.
Yeah. Okay.
Almost like they'll take it in and
I
then
said
like
ew, but I know what you meant. Like,
right,
I'm
right,
thinking of it like it took it, chewed it up, spit it back out. You
right,
know,
right.
that's not what
But
happened. I know what you mean.
yeah, but it's like they're almost like just moving it, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like it's like
Like
they're
it could
not
have been a
trying to.
rock for all they give a shit. They was
Yeah.
carrying it. Like fish don't have arms.
Yeah, it's like not here. They just go like
Right.
get out of here, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. So yeah, I just wonder if that could be, that's I guess that's just something that came out of this. I was like, hey, you
Yeah,
making
dude. It's
making good points.
definitely interesting. I've never even like looked into it that far. I don't know
Right.
how they spawn. I don't know how they make, new ones. I because I do like eating catfish. I definitely
Hmm.
would pursue them more if I was on lakes where catfish are like prominent, but
Hmm.
the up north lakes for the most part don't have the healthy
Yep.
population of catfish. I think those are a little
Right.
bit down south. There's
Yep.
shallower,
Or closer to
muddier
the rivers,
lakes.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, especially when they have, big rivers flow into them, or they
Right.
are just some lakes are just widenings in the river,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Good point.
yeah, there's definitely a lot of spots where there are catfish. I just don't fish them, so I don't know a lot
Sure.
about them.
Hmm.
And the thought of them spawning never even crossed my mind. And now that
Yeah.
you're saying it, I'm just like, bet. I bet they're, I don't even know.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
like now you're telling me that they make beds and they protect them.
Right.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
would assume I can go attack these things just like I would. I would assume I have better odds of catching a catfish using my bass lures at that time of year than I would trying to like throw a dough ball into their area, trying to
Right.
just get them to be protective,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. And not not all of the, catfish make nests, but now we know, bullheads do. And it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like it said that the sea catfish, dude, this is so gross to me. They carry the eggs
Yeah.
in their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck. I can't handle that texture. I can picture it in my head. Oh, fucking makes so gross.
Yeah.
So
and then they start hatching.
Yep. And it just has the little fish swimming around its mouth.
Yeah.
Fucking dude. Ew. Ew.
It's so weird. I think that happens with multiple species. But I don't know which ones, but that's all crazy to me.
Yeah, specifically the sea, like in talking about catfish, it said that the seawater, the saltwater ones, are the ones that do that. It didn't mention the freshwater ones.
I wonder how many times that it's been like a reactionary bite, where like something just floats in front of their face, and they're just like, oh no,
oh, I just ate my kids.
I just ate all my children.
So before we wrap it up, because trying to keep the front half to an hour or 45 minutes, whatever, and then jumping into the random take, trying to keep that at about half hour, just in case anybody's listening and trying to keep up with us and has been listening for a while. Want to talk about how they're, at 2,900 species, right? Yeah. They're all over the world, of course. They are.
Dude. Yeah.
And you've already sort of been saying that, like we've talked about it before, giants in Japan, right? Huge ones in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Massive.
You brought up the stingray that we talked about in Fish and News a couple episodes ago. Yep. That was the biggest freshwater fish ever caught by hook and reel. Before that was a catfish on the Mekong River.
Right.
Yeah, on the Mekong River. It was just in Thailand but it doesn't matter, not Cambodia, but it was a catfish, a 645-pound catfish was the record before that.
That's massive.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Then they have the micro catfish in the Amazon River. 1.5 to 2 inches. I didn't look up if that was a venomous one, but that one right there, based on Tim's theory, we got to look it up. That one's primed to be poisonous.
Right.
Based on the small size, venom thing.
And
I didn't look it up,
location.
but if somebody does, hit us up.
Yeah, like if you, now knowing that some of them are poisonous, if you said a catfish that grows to be 2 inches long and it lives in the Amazon, poisonous or not poisonous? Oh, I'm betting on poisonous.
I'm betting on poison.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, like, talking about like small catfish, have you ever seen what a school of catfish looks like, or like a school of bullheads, like when they're babies?
A school of baby bullheads is that same thing I was just talking about with that seawater fish.
It's just a black cloud.
That texture.
It looks weird. Yeah, from a distance, it looks really weird where you're just like, what is that big black cloud? And then you get close and it's like a million baby bullheads all huddled together.
Yep.
It's gnarly. It's really crazy because they're so dark. Like even the other bait fish are almost like translucent when they're little. So like they're really hard to see. And the bullheads are just like black
dark clouds
in the water, you can't even like from a distance you can't see the difference between one and the other, so it just looks like what you said, like an oil slick. You're like, what is that? The whole thing's moving,
right?
Then you get close, you're like, oh my god, it's a million baby bullheads. This is gnarly. So I have seen that a couple of times, and it's always like in the weirdest like little waters where you're just like, are there even any fish in here,
right?
And you're like, oh, there's about to be a whole bunch of little baby bullheads. I don't know where those came from, but that's a massive school.
They're, speaking of massive fish, there's a catfish that has adapted to eat the pigeons in London. It just swims up all those pigeons. Not a bottom
feeder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Inhaling pigeons.
Yep.
Bro. Dude,
so they're not all just bottom feeders.
No,
that's typically how they are, but this thing swims up, bam.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure on the River Monsters episodes that they were trying to catch catfish that were like rumored to have eaten people.
Jesus.
Yeah, And it makes
Probably a
sense.
645-pound catfish from
Dude, a
Thailand.
640-pound catfish could easily eat a person.
Oh, yeah.
You know? That's a massive
Yeah.
fish.
And even if it didn't consume the human all by itself, it could easily take you under.
Oh, yeah, if it just took you. Yeah. They eat. Have you ever seen, there's a video that I saw where a small, I don't know if it's a bullhead or a catfish, what species it is, you know,
right.
Bullhead are catfish. I keep saying that. I don't know what species of catfish it is. I just should say.
Right.
But there's a goldfish or like a koi in the fish tank, and I'm not kidding you that they're both maybe like, I don't know, 8 inches apiece.
Okay.
And that catfish eats the koi. They are the same size fish.
They're the same size.
And it eats it. It like just, what? It's just, yeah, like, and they're facing the same way because there's like an artificial current in the tank. Oh, and the catfish just kind of like turns its head and goes like, and then
sucked it in.
Eats the whole thing. And you're just like, how is that even possible? How did it do that?
Just happen?
How did it fit it in there? But it does eventually. It just kind of gets the whole thing in there. And you're like,
I don't even just like, what happened? How?
Yeah. I've seen it before, and I saw it again, and it's so shocking. Even after knowing what happened, to have your memory jogged, you're just like, oh, that's right. He's gonna eat the whole thing. Look at that. That's amazing. I can't believe it. So yeah, to think about like a 600-pound catfish.
Yeah.
In theory, could like eat a tiger then? I don't know.
So, I think there's tigers in Thailand. So
yeah,
it just swim up just like a pigeon. Yeah. Just like a pigeon eating catfish in London, just swim right up to the banks while it's taking a drink. And
yeah, it doesn't even take that big of a catfish to eat a pigeon. For sure. Like, it just needs to be able to fit it in its stomach and be able to get it past its mouth.
Right.
And a bird is all feathers, you know, like it's gonna go down easy.
Right. It's so crazy. So crazy. And so the catfish in London, you know, I don't think anybody's really eating them. Whatever, Brits, you're uptight about fish. The blues,
right,
and the channels are the ones that we usually eat over here. And I can tell you,
oh yeah,
right, channels, the blues and the catfish, the blue catfish and the channel cats are usually what we eat over here. Yeah, I typically think of them being in the stagnant, dingy, dirty-ish water.
Yeah, sucking for sure.
Stuff off the bottom, right?
Uh-huh.
These London ones, it's just clear as a bell. They just swim right up to these birds. Yeah. They snatch them out of there.
I think, yeah, because I don't know if the catfish are the ones that are dirtying up the water. I think it's the carp.
Yeah.
And I think catfish and carp a lot of times like inhabit the same waters. It's also not necessarily the fish themselves that are making the water dingy.
Right. That's what I was going to say, is just this happens to be a clear water running through London, and this, like, the down south parts of the Mississippi just happen to have a lot of sediment running through them, right? Because it's coming out of the mountain, it's coming out of the Rockies, it's coming out of the Appalachians, it's all coming in. And yeah, for sure. I think that has a lot to do with it. But that's the thing too about catfish, is like they're kind of everywhere. You can catch them in the fast mountain river that's flowing into the stagnant, you know, part of the larger river that's draining it into the ocean, and they're just everywhere. It's fucking crazy. Even though we have like 2 primary eaters here with the blues and the channels in the United States, it's like there's catfish are so much more than that. You want to talk about some crazy shit here to wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, right before you say that, I was going to say, like, even talking the science, I was going to say, like, there's different lake types and stuff. Just like, since we said it with like the different waters and stuff, a lot of times some of those, the dirty waters are just like younger lakes. Like, if I forget what I just Googled it to try to remember what the terms were, but I can't remember it right now. But I got a book that I read that it helps you like identify which kind of lakes they are, and it can help you identify like what the fish do in these kind of lakes based off of like what the lakes are doing themselves. Because
really,
the older lakes, a lot of times, like, the sediment has kind of like settled to the bottom and there's less weed growth and it's deeper and clearer and stuff. But
Really?
and then the younger lakes are like super weedy and stuff. So yeah,
That's
I might be
crazy.
getting some of that stuff wrong, but I I haven't fished a whole lot of new bodies of water, so I don't
Mhm.
research that stuff like super hard, but I did
Right.
learn what the lakes that I fish mainly are and how to fish them and stuff. And for the most part, they're all the same. Being in northern Minnesota, a lot of them are
Right. Old
real
Glacier
similar
Lake
to
and
each
stuff,
other.
right?
So, um, but yeah, let's get into some crazy stuff. But I just wanted to drop that. Like, don't
Yeah,
be
no, that's
scared to learn a bunch of stuff because even the lakes you can learn about, they can tell you a
right.
little bit more about the fishing.
Right. Right. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's what we're doing over here at Real AF TV. We're trying to like it's learning. It can be fun and funny and good and you can get some cool shit out of it.
Yeah,
And you can really become
and when you're
good at what you
trying
do.
yes, and when you're trying to learn this stuff, like try to find the resources from like the different fishing books and stuff because just from this moment knowing that there's more out there when I go, what different types of lakes or whatever,
Yeah.
and they start
Google it.
dropping all this different stuff of like a landslide lake, like I don't know what that is. And
Right.
then like tectonic lakes, like this is not what I'm talking about. So like a
Right.
simple Google did not give me what I was looking for. So
Right.
try to find the information in the fishing book.
For sure. For sure. Good point. Good tip. And let's just get weird. Let's just get weird here, Tim. Africa? Of
Yeah.
course there's gonna be a crazy ass one in Africa, right?
Oh, for
Africa's
sure.
got the coolest fucking animals on the planet.
Yep.
There's an electric one.
Oh, dude, there's an electric catfish. Dude,
Yeah.
what? How is this not common knowledge?
I
How come we
know.
only know about an electric eel? There's an electric catfish and nobody talks about it?
I know. What the hell, dude? What is that
Oh,
about? That's exactly the same thought I had. I was just like, yeah, I get it. They're similar. Eels, catfish. Some catfish got that like after their dorsal fins, they're like one big tail kind of thing going on, and eels are just snakes in the water.
yeah.
How does nobody know that there's an African catfish that can do 450 volts?
And
Catfish.
it's 450 volts. It's not even like a weak, like where it's just like,
I
yeah,
know.
we don't really talk about it because it's electrical, but it's like you sticking your tongue on a 9-volt battery where you're like, oh, that was weird. Where you're just like, I didn't enjoy that. But it's not like, oh, Jesus, 450 volts is just smacking you. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Electric fish are one of those things that is so weird because, like when you grow up watching cartoons and stuff, like
Yeah.
electric eels and quicksands are what they're hitting you with. And then you
Yep.
think
Yep.
quicksand's going to be a big deal and you get older and you're like, quicksand's bullshit. It's never anywhere. And then you learn, like, okay, it does exist, but you're not even going to, like, it's nothing to be scared of.
Right.
Like, at the most, you're going to sink into your waist. I just saw a video of a lady getting out of quicksand without using her hands. Like, you can just crawl out of quicksand yourself. So you're like, okay,
Right.
so it's a problem,
Right.
but you can even get out, like the whole thing when you watch the cartoons and stuff when you're a kid. Speaking of cartoons, we'll get into that, but
Right.
they're like, don't move because it makes it worse, and you basically got to wait for help and hope somebody can find a vine because they always have to find a vine
Yep.
and throw it to you and you can climb out and stuff. So you're like, quicksand's bullshit. So you're just like, oh, so probably like electric eels are bullshit too. And then they're just like, nope, 100% real, and it's in the new Jackass movie.
Yep.
You're like, what?
Yep. And
So
you're like,
how
oh, okay.
yeah, okay, so like it's real, like it's
Right.
okay, that's insane. And now you're like, oh yeah, catfish too.
Right.
Oh
Like,
man, that
okay, so it's a thing.
is like mind-boggling. How many other catfish, how many people have been lying to us the whole time? Where
How many
this
cartoons been
I
messing up our
feel
day?
like I feel like you just been like withholding information from us. Like this is a little bit off topic and I'm not getting into religion here, so nobody get offended by this, but I feel like this is like when you get there's certain things where it's such a shock to almost feel misled where it's like it was a little bit different, but like when I grew up like where they have like you know, the famous story of like Jesus when he gets crucified and he's carrying the cross, and it's like all the pictures depict him carrying a full-size cross.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot of weight. That's, you know, 2 big boards. And they'd say that he carries it all over the place, and he falls, but he gets back up. And you're like, damn, dude, like this guy's got perseverance. And then like down the road, when I learned that he didn't carry the whole cross, it was just like the cross member.
Yeah.
It was like the 8-foot long 4x4. You're like, what? Yep. He just carried a big board? That's not even close to the same thing. Like that's
story's been like highly exaggerated.
Yeah, it's like the same feeling, like where I'm just like, how come nobody told me about these electric catfish? God dang it. What other shit have I been not lied to?
You have been lied to bring it to the cartoon here as we wrap up again. Did you watch Metalocalypse?
I did a little bit.
Oh, okay. So
yes,
the drummers, they go to the Amazon. They're going to do one of their big, their big, insane, over the top, crazy shows. They're going to the Amazon. Yeah, and they're told not to piss into the river because parasites will swim up and stuff like that. And so right away, the drummer. Then we've all heard those stories too, right?
Dude,
and
I'm so terrified of going swimming in the Amazon River. Everybody's scared of piranhas. Yeah. That's not what you got to be nervous about.
So he starts pissing off the side of the boat. Yeah, I'm gonna go take a piss, and he goes over and he pisses off the side. Yeah, really, you got it for shit. They zoom in on the pee stream and they like show the thing swimming up into his dick.
Ugh.
In real life, that's a catfish.
It's a catfish, is it? That little thing is a catfish?
Dude, the thing that swims into your pee hole. Now, there could be other things, but the thing that swims into your pee hole in the Amazon is a fucking catfish, dude.
So I know, that's crazy. I don't know if it's the same kind of fish that I heard of, but the one that scares me the most is because I heard that it's basically like it can't use its sight. I don't know if it was blind or if the water's so dingy that it can't really see anything, so it relies on its sense of smell.
Okay.
And the smell, or like the taste, I don't know exactly how it detects it, but it goes after like nitrates that are, because it's like a blood feeder. It doesn't eat fish, it like feeds on blood. Oh, and these little things like swim into the gills of bigger fish and kind of like rub around. Yeah, and it causes it to bleed.
Yep.
And when the fish breathe, it like sucks in the oxygen, and when it exhales the nitrates, and that's how it finds it.
Oh, wow.
Those same nitrates are in our urine.
Sure.
That's how it finds its way into our dick holes. And then it does that same thing where it just goes in there and roughs everything up, trying to like feed on the blood. God. And because it has like a rough body to make that stuff happen, there's no pulling it out, man. And there's no pulling it out. It is, you have to go get it surgically removed because that fish is not able to be pulled out. It is something where you have to. I don't know the procedure. I don't want to look into it. All I heard was like that fish swims in your dick hole and you can't pull it out. And I go, well, not swimming in the Amazon River. Like
that rules out swimming in the Amazon.
Entirely. I don't even want to go. Yeah, I don't even want to go next to the river because they're just like, well, before you get to the river, there's all these different apes and tigers, and once you get to the river, there's crocodile, and once you get into the river, there's piranha and things that swim in your dick hole, and you're just like, oh. I think I'm just going to stick to fishing in America. or to places in other countries that I can access by boat and not have to like go into the jungle and deal with all this other stuff. And then they're just like, did we tell you about all the spiders? And I'm just like, oh my God, if I don't die before I get to the river. Oh, man.
Oh, shit. All right. What a fucking wild note to end catfish, the broad topic on.
Such a broad topic. There's
so many notes on here, dude, that we didn't even get to, but we're gonna stick to it.
There's Mike. I can't believe, like, now that you're telling me, like, the broad, there's armored catfish, there's naked catfish, there's micro catfish, there's dick hole catfish, there's formerly the world heavyweight champion catfish. What the fuck?
And 2,900 more species to go.
Right.
We have plenty of topics.
Yeah, we've counted like 6 of the species. Jesus. Oh, an electric catfish. Man. Did I say electric catfish?
Oh, right. An electric catfish was like the biggest fucking find of the whole topic.
What the hell?
Oh, shit. All right, man. Well, let's get into the random take here where we're going to talk about cartoons. Right now, it's a broad topic, cartoons. Let's see what happens in the second half. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, don't worry. You're going to want to catch this one on Friday, probably. I don't know if it's going to suck or not, but hang in there if you're on the podcast feed. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with a random take here in the second half and talk cartoons.
Yes.
Welcome to the break, friends and family. This is a ad. It is officially an ad for Monster Bass, and that is realaf.tv/monsterbass. That's right. realaf.tv/monsterbass is an URL that you can follow to help out the Real AF TV podcast. If you go to realaf.tv/monsterbass, that lets Monster Bass know that we from the Real AF TV podcast sent you. And this is where I pass the ball over to Tim to actually talk about what Monster Bass is.
I got the rock. All right. So Monster Bass is a subscription website that is awesome. They set you up with a bunch of good gear. If you're a new fisherman, they're going to hook you up with a bunch of stuff that you know works because it's curated by a bunch of fishermen who know what catch fish. And if you're a seasoned angler, they have a lot of cool stuff. I'm getting baits that I don't normally like see. There's baits from different companies and stuff, and some of them are super cool. But just so you give a little visual here and give you an understanding of what things look like, this is what you're getting. You order a box, it comes with a bag, but the bag is dope. Has like a little, says contents right here. You can write on it. Zipper bag, nice clear bag, so you can put all your stuff in there and get it all situated. And some of the baits, like, it comes with the terminal tackle too. So like, if you are a new fisherman and you're trying to get things set up, don't worry, they're gonna hook you up. So in a bag, like, here's a couple of different things. KVD perfect plastic. These are worms that are set up that will work for like a drop shot or just a regular, you can put it on a Texas rig. You can just fish it weightless. So more worms from X Zone. Like, if you're wondering, are they all brands I've never heard of? No, X Zone, Strike King, super popular.
Well, KVD. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. KVD. Got
if you're into fishing, you know that.
Exactly. Got Mustad worm hooks. So they're setting you up with the worm hooks. Monster Bass has some of their own stuff. So these are wide gap worm hooks that work with those. Nice. They're setting you up with like creature baits. These are like a jig trailer, or you can Texas rig these as well. And they set you up with a jig. There's a Monster Bass jig for you that you can put that on. Nice. Or you can put it on, like, these are, it just says terminal tackle. I don't even know what they call these ones. But it's like, it's a tungsten, like, Ned jig head, but it has like a wide gap hook on it. So these are a little bit unique. But you could fish this with that creature bait. You could fish this with these worms. You could fish pretty much everything you want.
Yeah. Nice.
Setting you up with top water. There's a buzz bait. They got the bass popper. So we're covering all the different things. This is one of Monster Bass's own baits.
Nice.
Cool colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Rick Clun spinner bait. Rick Clun is a famous fisherman. They hook you up with stickers. And then when I was talking about, like baits that seasoned fishermen, I don't have any stick baits like this that walk the dog. This thing sits like this in the water, and when you fish it,
explain that for the audio listener. It goes vertical from the tail.
It sits like vertical, almost like up and down, and when you start working it, it does the walk the dog type action, but it doesn't glide as far. It doesn't move as far, so it kind of stays put and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, man, they're covering all zones, and that's just one bag. Like, that's the contents of what you would get in one bag. And all that stuff is going to cost you way more if you buy it individually at a store. So it's a great deal. Plus, they're setting you up with cool stuff. If you're a new fisherman, seasoned fisherman, get you some monster bass. They're going to hook you up right.
Yeah, for sure. That's realaf.tv/monsterbass. They'll get you over to the Monster Bass website, but it'll let you know that we sent you from the Real AF TV podcast, and that'll get a little kickback for us. Help us out by going to realaf.tv/monsterbass. And, of course, don't forget about patreon.com. Patreon.com/RealAFTV. Remember, Real Like Fish and Reel, where we are set up to have you come over and join the community that is the Real AF TV community, sort of a fisher community, this combo community that we're trying. We think we have a unique perspective on fishing, from me being a geeky person, Tim being the fisherman, but also Tim being into video games, me being into video games. Like, you don't see a lot of that sort of generational representation in fishing, I think. Is that a weird way to put it, Tim?
No, I like it.
Okay.
And diversity.
Yeah.
We are diverse, generational, gapping fisher geeks.
Hopefully that's what we're building. And if you go over to Real AF TV, realaf.tv, you will see the link to the Patreon page. That'll bring you over there. That's the best way to support the Real AF TV podcast directly, and also the Real AF TV YouTube channel, of course, directly. We're trying to do more videos. We're doing a lot more videos. We got some videos content in the tank, and there's also the ability to get exclusive Patreon created content. If you go over to patreon.com/realaftv, you will see the different tiers that you can become a patron of.
Yes.
And we will start creating exclusive content, we'll say.
That's right. Yep.
So there it is. The best way to support the podcast directly is realaf.tv. Find the Patreon link right there on the homepage. Click on that. Give us a couple bucks a month. Hey, subscribe for 1 month. Hang out for a minute. Check out what we already got on there and take off. That'd be cool too. But don't forget, we're going to keep keeping the podcast free. So don't worry about it.
Keeping the podcast free, the YouTube. If you could like and subscribe on any of those, that would also help us a great deal. But the Patreon is definitely the best way to go about it.
That's right. Welcome back to the Real AF TV podcast, show about fishing random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. Welcome to the Random Take, where we are going to talk about cartoons. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about a fishing thing that Tim just told me about.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this as a whole, this is going to fit right in. If you're listening to this on Friday, go back to the catfishing podcast, the catfishing topic. Check it out. It was a good one because you brought up, we've talked about it before, bullheads on your main fishing lake.
Yeah.
They're catfish. Bullheads are catfish.
Right.
You've seen the ball of catfish in that lake?
Oh, I have, yeah.
Okay.
It's been a rare thing, but early in the year I have seen it. And that was kind of like a weirder, where the shoreline wasn't quite as developed as it is now. There's certain spots where I saw it. So I would assume you can still find them in certain spots of the lake. It just doesn't happen on the shoreline that I'm on.
Yeah. Okay. But you've never seen catchable ones.
Well, I've seen one. I've seen dead ones.
One.
I've seen dead ones.
Yes.
Which are like, I don't know where these are coming from. And I saw one time that was just like picking a fight with a sunfish. I don't know what was going on there.
Even to hear it the second time, third time, whatever. It's funny. It's just funny to thought.
Yeah. And it was in like 5 feet of water, and there was a sunfish, and it was kind of like the spawning time. So the sunfish is territorial. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if the catfish was doing the bottom feeder thing, just like up there, like, I'm like, yo, children. and then the sunfish is just like, you get away from me, you dirty. Like, I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. I've never seen it before, and I've never seen it again.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is. And then I was also telling you too a little bit where I was like messing around with the depth finder, trying to get out of my comfort zone. And I was marking some fish in 40 feet of water, in the deepest part of this lake is right there. and that's in 60 feet. So it goes 20
Okay.
feet deeper, but like 60 foot is like one hole.
Right.
And otherwise, like most of the lake isn't hitting that 40-foot range either. So I was marking fish down that far, and I'm like, is that where the bullheads are?
Right. Yeah.
And I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I
I
can't
was
imagine
like,
the like bottom feeding thing works there really, because even the sea fish, the sea catfish we were talking about, said it's found. They find them in the shallows.
right.
They're
And
always up
that's
in the
what,
shallows. So
yeah.
it's
So
like,
I
what the
don't know.
hell?
Like, I know that they're on
But you
that
fish
lake,
the
but
yeah, and you fish fairly
yeah.
shallow because you fish bass. So like, what?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so fucking weird. What a mystery.
Yeah, and I fish walleye too, and I've never caught. I know that they eat like worms and stuff, and I know that you can
Sure,
catch them
sure.
bobber fishing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how we used to
and
catch them when I was a kid.
we bobber fish and everything, and I've never caught one before. So that's, I think the numbers are very scarce on that
Mm,
lake,
right. Okay.
but it's real weird to be like, there's a fish on this lake I've never caught,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No, it is for sure. It is
Yeah,
very weird.
very.
Okay. All right. This
So
isn't this isn't fishing. We're gonna switch over to
that's right.
cartoons. Let's get into that. So, Tim, this is off the cuff. Didn't write any of this down here with this part, but here's the thing: cartoons, animated,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
stationary, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna ride with this, however it goes, wherever it goes. But I know one of my favorite things that we bonded over when we worked at Burger King was we'd always look at the paper and read Boondocks. And it was
Oh
like,
hell yeah!
that's a stationary.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
remember, it got the deal to go animated.
Right. Yep.
I was like, oh shit. I did not watch as much as I should have. I
I
don't
did
know
not.
what happened at that point. I just didn't catch
Right.
it. I just couldn't catch it at the right time. This is before DVR. This is before video on demand, kids.
Yeah.
This is like catch the shit when it's live.
Yep. I think there was at that point in time for me there was just way too many other shows I was into.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have time for that because
Yeah.
that was when all that late night TV was just bangers for
It,
me, at
yeah.
least, where you
Yeah.
had like the Brock Show and Harvey Birdman and Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Right.
And
Right.
it's
Right.
like I've been watching cartoons for like 3 hours already. Like,
Right.
sorry,
It's getting late.
Boondock
I'm sorry,
Saints. Like,
Boondocks. I'm
yeah,
falling
there's a
asleep.
couple of you. There's like Boondock Saints was almost like
No,
the
just
or
Boondocks.
not.
Boondock
Yeah,
Saints is a
right,
movie.
right. I know. As soon
I
as I
know you
said it, I'm
know.
like,
I just was
whoops.
like, hold on.
Yeah. So Boondocks was like kind of like the start of the anime stuff. And then
Yeah.
that's when I would kind of like tune out, You had all
Yeah,
that
because it
different
got into
anime
the
stuff.
like the when you say anime, you mean like Japanese anime.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
yeah. And
it
we were
was
there
like the
for the
Boon
goofy fucking American
exactly.
laughs.
Yeah. I was getting real silly, you know.
Nice
And that's
pause.
yeah. That's what I was doing. I'm just like watching all this, goofy stuff, and then when it got serious, I'm just like, oh, I guess it's like time for bed or time to put on a movie.
Right.
Like I just wanted to laugh and I didn't want to watch anything serious. So
Yeah.
and Boondocks may have
Skirted
had some
both lines,
laughs.
I think.
Yeah. I think there
The
was
even with the comic, right? In the paper, even with the comic, it
right,
skirted.
yeah.
You always wanted to
Yeah.
see what it had. It didn't have like a through storyline most of the time, but it
Right.
did skirt like being serious and being funny.
Exactly. Yep. They would have some jokes in there, and I think that's kind of what the show was like too, where
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't that random, you know.
Right.
That's what I liked was that
Yeah.
random comedy,
That
that weird
random
stuff,
shit.
and they were trying to write real jokes, and I wasn't willing to wait or to follow along, you know.
Or follow along. Right, right,
I'm
right,
just
right.
kind of sitting there waiting for the weird stuff to happen.
Yep, for
So
sure. I remember when we went to see Aqua Teen Hunger Force the movie. I think
yeah.
it was just me, you, and your wife. That was it. I'm pretty sure of that. We're
Dude,
fucking laughing our asses off. Star
me
Wife
and
comes.
you,
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think my wife was.
I don't think your
I
wife
don't
got
know.
any of it.
I don't know if she came with. I think it's one of those things where like, like the ladies are just like, that wasn't funny. You're like,
Yeah.
it
Right.
was. You just
It
are
was.
different,
For real. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about like the people we surround ourselves with or what it is like what that says or means or I don't not trying to read into like the socio fucking economical references of Twitter.
Right.
I don't know. Fuck you, internet.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get to is like, that's our experience. Is chicks around us never understood
No.
the early 2000s fucking Adult Swim, and
Yeah.
we would just be fucking cry laughing at it.
Oh my god. Yeah, and there's so many good jokes. Like I don't understand why they don't think it's funny. Like if I pulled off those jokes in the wild, if I was out there in real
Right.
time,
Right.
and I had one of those happen, like they would laugh. But because it's in a silly cartoon and it's random,
right,
they don't think it's funny. But also there's times where I tell jokes where I get nothing back, and I'm just like, I know that would have killed with most people, so I'm not offended that you didn't laugh.
I constantly tell my wife, that was funny.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Yeah, you should be laughing right now.
Yep,
idiot. Oh man, but yeah, I had an example of that. Like, not trying to get too off topic, but like I scroll through like the Instagram reels, and I'm just watching videos and stuff, and I'll see stuff that's funny, and I send it over her way, and just be like, "This is funny," and then she'll send stuff back my way. And then she'll be like, "Did you watch that?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I've seen it already." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And I'm just like, I didn't send it to you because when I watched it, I didn't think it was funny enough to share. But the shit you send me is not that good, and the shit I'm sending you is gold. Like I'm only sending the best. I'm sending the greatest hits, and you're sending me stuff that might make me smirk for the most part, or stuff that makes me go, wow, like no mediocre.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
There's definitely differences.
Yeah, for sure. I got you.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
And sometimes I think it takes context too, where I know I've even sent you stuff where it's not that funny, but to be like, here's what I was thinking when I saw this, then you're like, oh dude, I get it,
Right. Well, sometimes I just don't react to it, and I just laugh and go, yeah, that's good.
Right.
But I understand how that can happen. Like I totally get it.
Right.
Okay. Cartoons.
We
can talk more about Adult Swim if you want, but the reason why I brought this up is because why I wanted to bring it up is because we were watching Space Jam the other night.
Oh yeah. The new one or the old one?
The old one, the 90 one.
Okay.
The 90s one. Not the 91 one. I don't know when it was made. 96 Space Jam.
Right.
And I was like, dude, they don't make that kind of cartoon anymore. So
right.
Like the dropping anvils on things, the
right.
really stretchy like fake, the exaggerated, that's the word I'm looking for. The really exaggerated like jumps and running, and the way they'll leave their head behind and then their body will take off, and then the neck will stretch and the head will catch up. I'm just like, you've had more time in this dad world than I have. Are they making cartoons like this anymore? Like, what happened to that like really heavy animation?
Yeah, no, they don't. I think it's gone because of just what the world has become.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, you can't show that, you can't show that, you can't show that, you can't show that, can't show that. And it's all like,
you can't show Michael Jordan getting sucked down a golf hole. Kids won't go golfing anymore.
You can't, right? You can't show anything that's violent and just be able to explain to your child that none of this is real. But when it comes to like anything like sexual, that's fine. Where it's like,
I get what you're saying. No, we're becoming right. When we were kids, if we saw too much cleavage, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
cleavage. Cover up the boy's eyes.
Hold on, back it up here.
Right, and now we're flipping that, right?
Yeah. You still don't see like sexual stuff in cartoons. Like cartoons are like really tame these days where there's nothing.
Yeah.
It's all like it's all the same kind of shit. It's all like stuff going. There's very little where it's like people going on adventures or people doing like rescue stuff, like that's big with all the kids and stuff.
Sure.
But it's nothing, like where you used to have like just the slapstick crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's
now
exactly
it's like
what Looney
Paw
Tunes
Patrol is like.
Thank you.
Yeah, now you have like Paw Patrol where it's just like, oh, this guy's stranded out in the sea, and he's like not doing too bad. He's just like, it's rough out here, and I'm getting pretty hungry. And they're just like, oh yeah, pups to the rescue, let's go save him. And like back in the day, like you were saying, it was just like, I could go for a snack. And then Bugs Bunny is just like, could you, Doc? And bam, shoots you in the face with a shotgun. You're like, oh shit.
the Yosemite Sam looks over while he's stranded out in the raft. Bugs Bunny turns into a chicken leg. Like,
right.
And then fight ensues.
they're thinking about like, oh, like I could eat him because I'm so hungry. I could murder this other guy and eat him.
Yep.
And like the whole premise is them thinking that each one is food, so now they have to murder each other to survive.
Yep.
Yeah, like the
and now it's just idea like one of the Paw Patrol comes out in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Just picks him up and leaves. Oh, that was close, wasn't it? I had 3 hours in that raft.
The idea that any of that stuff was even like thought of back in the day is so odd when you like think about all of it in context, where they're just like, oh yeah, the Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote. They're like, the Roadrunner always wants to eat the coyote, I think. The coyote wants to eat the Roadrunner. Yes, the coyote wants to eat the Roadrunner, so that's like a natural thing.
Yeah, you're just like, but then that's how animals work.
Yeah, but also like the Roadrunner is fast and smart, and then he just constantly fucks up the coyote. Where it's just like, I'm gonna smash a piano on him. I'm gonna hit him with an anvil. I'm gonna blow him up. Like, just the fact that these writers were sitting in there and just like, what do you guys want to make a show about? Oh, like that predator prey deal where we were thinking that like the prey was really smart and he constantly just like
fucked up
like it's all like it's a cartoon, right? So he never really gets killed, but we're just gonna murder him every episode.
Murder the hell out of him.
We're gonna murder the hell out of him. We're gonna every way you think of something getting just mutilated. But then we'll cartoon it, like he'll get smashed by an anvil, and then what, it's gonna be like gross guts and stuff. No, he'll just be like real flat, like when the anvil lifts he'll just kind of like float down because he's thin like paper now, and then
right so awesome.
It's like every day is just a different way to murder him, but then we'll cartoonishly make it the reveal of how he is not murdered.
Get it? And they're like, perfect.
Yes. Well, what do you got for the next cartoon? Oh, like same thing, but like a rabbit and a dude. Oh, okay. What about the next one? Oh, same thing, but like a giant chicken and a dog.
Well, I say that sounds fantastic.
But like this time they're gonna like punch in and out of work because the giant chicken also has a job. It's like, what? Okay. All right.
Okay. Right. Oh, that's so good. That's why also why I wanted to bring it up is because we're now starting to watch cartoons. There are now favorites, and the majority is us just pushing the shit that we watched because we want to watch it again anyway. We got Paramount. We were Nickelodeon kids. We're just like, yep, let's watch Rocco, Cat Dog, cool. Rugrats.
Right, right.
We click on all the shit that we thought was cool. And
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
exactly. Yeah, you're watching all this stuff and you're just like, okay, Rocco, yep, and dogs, and just like where there's always like a cat and dog, and then all of a sudden they're just like, what if there's two dogs? It's just like that kind of sounds dumb. Perfect. Two stupid dogs. That's perfect. That's what it's gonna be. And you're like, yeah, dude, I'll watch Two Stupid Dogs.
That's a real thing now, right?
That's a real cartoon. Like
Yeah.
it was a real cartoon. It was the same like Ren and Stimpy era style.
Really?
Yeah, Two Stupid Dogs was
I thought that was that Pug show. I can write this
no.
down.
Yeah, I think let me make sure that I'm not messing this up. It was
no, please look it up because that sounds hilarious and I want to find it.
Yeah, Two Stupid Dogs. There was like a skinny little dog and then a big one. It was 1993. It only had two seasons, but I remember watching it. Two Stupid Dogs.
Dude. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife loves the Hanna-Barbera stuff. Did you ever have like Yogi?
Hanna-Barbera was like, for whatever reason, that was on cable, I think.
It was, yeah. Like in our era, it was put on. Fuck, I can't remember the name of the channel right now. I should have written it down.
Was it on Nick or was the Cartoon Network? Right? Wasn't that?
It had its own Boomerang.
Boomerang, yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
it like basically Hanna-Barbera just got its own fucking network.
Yeah,
and it was Boomerang. I remember that. It was fucking sweet. Like, dude, Scooby-Doo and all that shit. My wife loves that shit. We have collections on DVD even.
Oh damn, dude! I never really got into much of that stuff. I knew Yogi the Bear because I had some of those tapes and stuff because that was like shit my dad grew up on.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I knew Yogi the Bear and that what was that moose?
Bullwinkle, Rocky and Bullwinkle. You're talking about. Bullwinkle was the moose.
Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. I remember watching those. But I didn't really grow up on that stuff too much. So no, for whatever reason, Two Stupid Dogs was on the network. I remember I remember going to hotels and then they had like cable and I'm like, oh shit, I get to watch Rugrats. Like I never got to watch Rugrats. And then for the first time, I get to watch Rugrats and it was like this whole different world. Where they're like, don't you want to go outside? And you're like, I do, but also in here's cool too. Because I get to watch shows I've never watched before and I know everybody else watches and I know it's good stuff.
Right. Like I've heard of Rugrats, but I haven't had this much time with them before.
Side note on the cartoon thing, since I sent you that picture and the other day where I was just like, dude, did you know Tommy Pickles voiced by a gilf?
Right.
It was a hot grandma, basically, man. She's got to be like 60 and she's not bad looking. So I was like, that's crazy. But then also, do you know who voices Chucky?
Oh,
I don't know her actual name, but like, do you know the other more famous character she voices?
Is it Milhouse?
It's most of the Simpsons. She's also Bart and like a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I had no idea. I seen a clip of her the other day doing Bart where she's just like,
I didn't know she was Bart though.
Oh, eat my shorts or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And then she changes it just a little bit to like more of like a nasally. And then you're like, oh, there's Chucky. You're like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh my God.
I would no idea.
Put those two together.
Yeah. And it's just like,
dude,
it's so obvious. Like when you close your eyes and listen, because when you watch her, it doesn't even like sound right. But then you close your eyes, it does sound like her, but like you still don't. You're like, I don't know,
right?
Because when you're watching this lady's face, it doesn't feel the same. But then when you close your eyes and you picture it, you're like, oh damn it, that's holy crap,
dude! It's so weird. And also, you got to remember that half the time, like we don't sound like this either.
Right.
In real life, we don't sound like I shouldn't say that. We don't sound like this to a phone.
Right.
This is equipment. This is well-calibrated equipment that we're talking into that makes us sound this way. And we sound so different on the phone. So that makes it different. That makes it harder too.
For sure. No, but so getting back to like what we grew up on, not necessarily by choice with all these because I didn't really care for them. Like I've always been more of a humor guy, so I liked watching the funny stuff.
Yeah.
But Recess was
Oh,
dope.
yeah.
Recess was good, and then like on all the network stuff, it would be like Recess, and then there was a Batman that would play, and I was never a huge
Really?
fan of that, but I would watch it. You know, you just
Okay.
watch like Batman fighting stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, not for me. And then uh Gargoyles was like right
Oh,
after that, so I would
yeah.
watch Gargoyles, and I would just be
Yeah,
like,
dude.
again, where I'm just like not really interested in this like serious stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but then like Darkwing Duck,
Yes.
Darkwing Duck,
Yep. I watched
let's
Darkwing too.
get dangerous.
Yes.
I still all the time,
Darkwing
like I'll be
Duck.
walking around and just random, just be like, "If there's trouble, you call DW." That's a good line, you
It is. That's really
know.
well. I forgot about that one. That's really good. I used to,
But
because those were on regular network, like ABC, right?
yeah, do you
Yeah.
remember Bonkers?
Yeah, that weird cat thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
used to watch that shit too.
That shit was on there too, where they
I
had some
forgot
of
about it
those.
until right now, but yeah.
Yeah, they had on Bonkers, they had some weird characters. There was like a Swedish guy that was just, I'm almost like I think Chris Hardwick voiced some of these characters
No way,
because
dude.
because he talks about um was it on Rocco where there was like a cow that walked upright
Yeah,
with the
heifer. I
udders?
mean,
Y-
it's
Yeah, that's
it's
Chris Hardwick.
that's what?
Yeah, pretty sure because he voiced that
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's Rocco's best friend.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure he's the one that voiced that, and because he has a stand-up joke where he's talking about people. He was talking about some nerd when he was younger that would like take weird like swallow in the middle like a sentence. You're like, "What are you doing, Randy? You knew you were about to talk. Like swallow before you talk." And then I guess the cow was a male,
But
and
his
then
name
he
was
was
Heifer.
like, so then I would have these random like nerds running up to me, just being like, "Male cows don't have udders." So I'm pretty sure he voiced that. But then I also think because of one of his other jokes that he voiced, there was like a weird like Swedish guy in there that
Oh, no,
would
that's a
sometimes.
different it's a different person. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, but I'll also bring it up something crazier. So I don't know what Chris did.
Okay.
But oh, you're talking about the Nickelodeon movie,
Oh, maybe that's what
Barnyard.
it was
It
then.
was a movie and then it got made into a show, Barnyard. You're talking about Barnyard. I guarantee it.
Okay.
Crazy,
That ma- that makes
crazy.
sense cuz yeah,
Go ahead.
and but he had so maybe that wasn't him, but there was another person that uh there was I just remember the crazy Swedish guy and that like accent. Like that's one of the first accents where I started like, "Do you want me to clean the floors?" And you know, like this
Yes.
I remember him coming in like saying this weird shit. I'm just making up a random thing to say because I don't remember what it ever talked about.
Right. I
But
know.
this accent
I know
where
what
you
you're talking
talking
about.
like this and doing this and this and you're just like, what the fuck is that? I remember being a kid where he didn't have to say anything. I just laughed at how goofy he sounded, you know? You're like 8 years old and you're like, listen to this idiot. This sounds so
Yeah,
stupid.
I remember I remember that. I don't know if it was, like, across other, you know, things, but
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that. Just hearing that accent in a cartoon as a
Yeah.
kid and going like, "Okay."
Okay, whatever that is. And there's also like a weird cat thing here. Okay. Like when you think back on a lot of
Yeah,
these cartoons,
yeah.
it's real wild, weird
They
shit,
were
man.
wild shit for sure. And that's what okay, so with Rocco, we were talking about Rocco.
Yeah.
SpongeBob is
Yeah.
Heifer. SpongeBob does the voice for the cow
Oh, he does?
in Rocco. Yeah. The
Okay.
same guy who
That's
does
crazy.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So there's still
Nuts.
something wild about Heifer and that. I can't
Yeah.
find the Barnyard the show though, 'cause I know it got made into a TV show too. There was a Barnyard movie, and then I'm sure Chris probably because Kevin James did the cow for the movie,
Okay.
and you know Kevin James didn't do the TV show.
Right, right,
Kind
right,
of like
right.
what we were talking about earlier.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That was off the podcast that we were talking about that. We're not going to get into
That
that because
is crazy. That's
yeah. So
that's it's so funny to hear too where they have like these other voice actors have these abilities, and Patrick still cracks me up because you have all these people where they're all like able to do this stuff, and if you showed me a picture of them, I wouldn't know who it was at all.
right.
But from watching Coach with my parents
Yep.
when I was a kid,
Loved Coach. It was
Patrick's in
awesome.
Coach. He's one of the guys, and his talking voice is Patrick. That's just who he is all the
Yeah.
time.
Yep.
He can't shut that shit off. So when you hear Patrick, I'm like, that's the guy from Coach. You know?
Hey, that's like Coach's
Yeah.
assistant. I don't even
Yeah.
know. He wasn't the assistant.
Yeah.
He just
It's like
popped
that.
in every once in a while.
Yeah. Remember that dumb guy on Coach to talk like this? Now he's a dumb starfish on this show with this SpongeBob.
It's so great. No.
So you had cable, right?
So I had cable. So I
Yeah.
that's how I know like Barnyard and Rugrats and
Yeah,
the
yeah. So
Rocco,
that's what you grew up on, was all that good
all
stuff.
that Nick stuff. But also you with like Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles and stuff like that and Bonkers. Like I didn't really watch Gargoyles. I remember when it was on. Watched a little bit of
Yeah.
Bonkers. Watched Darkwing Duck, but I remember it when it was on Disney Channel because ABC, Disney,
Oh.
they're owned by the same
Yeah.
thing. So like I remember actually catching it when it was on Disney. So I don't know if I was behind the curve or ahead of the curve. I have no
Nah, you were
idea
probably
how that
ahead of the
worked,
curve
but
because yeah, that's how it worked with me. Was I got everything late. That's you were
really?
ahead of the curve. Yeah, like even The Simpsons. I know Simpsons, I think, was always on Fox, but I
Yeah,
always watched The Simpsons. It was like from 5 to 6. They would play like 2 back-to-back episodes.
right.
So I always watched the replays, and then every
Mm.
once in a while they wouldn't play them in order.
No.
Every once in a while they'd play like one from like this first season, and you'd be like,
Yep.
oh, this is when they didn't know how to animate and they didn't know how to do anything.
Oh,
Like
looks
you'd
like
be
shit.
mad because you're like, damn it, this old ones suck.
Yep, I remember that. I remember I was watching 'cause I didn't watch a lot of Simpsons, and that was the one thing that that was one of my big I don't it's not like a defining thing, but like looking back at things, that was
Yeah.
where my big cut was because
Okay.
everybody would talk about Simpsons. Everybody would love the Simpsons. Simpsons. This is middle
Yeah.
school, early high school, and stuff like that. I didn't realize all of what was going on at the time when it was happening. I
Yeah.
was watching South Park already.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
everyone was like, "Oh my god, Simpsons is so funny." And I'm just like, I've never seen a giant satellite come out of anybody's ass on Simpsons. So I don't know how funny that could be.
Right. Yeah. No,
And I'm
I
not shit
even
talking the Simpsons at all. I don't mean to be
right.
like shit talking everybody. And I didn't shit talk it then. It was just like I didn't realize it then even that I was just watching cable.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Yeah, and for sure, like I didn't get to watch. I remember when South Park first came out. I
mhm,
was such a fan of the premise and even hearing about what these shows were and just
mhm,
hearing some of the jokes
mhm.
that I had like Who Killed Kenny shirts
Oh, fuck
before I
yeah.
even really knew what the show was. Like
Right.
I was like, he dies every episode. I love that. I don't know what's
That's
going
cool.
on. It's weird. It's cool. I love it. They're just
Yep.
like, yeah, we don't have to follow rules. We'll just do whatever we want. And you're like,
Right.
yes, I love it. Because
Yeah.
some of these other ones are just like they have to follow these rules and these scripts, and like
Mhm.
Simpsons was a little bit off the wall and stuff, but there was always a storyline. So sometimes getting to the jokes took a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just know that for sure I've always been into random comedy because the stuff that sticks
Mhm.
out to me, I have like favorite episodes from most shows
Mhm.
where they weren't necessarily the best show ever.
Yeah.
Like I know a really good moment from Peppa Pig that I didn't see coming, and that show I don't like otherwise.
Sure,
But
sure.
there was one good moment that was good, And then again from The Simpsons, like The Simpsons, we talked about it in a different episode where it was like the holiday specials
Yeah.
were the bangers, where I'm just like, yes, this is going to be like a mashup of what I like. I like to see like the references and all that other shit. But for the most part, like The Simpsons was good, but I didn't like laugh out loud to a lot of things.
Sure.
But every once in a while they'd hit you with a random part that just because I
Something that
remember
just catches you off guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember like it's clear as day. I can't remember the premise or why, but there's one part where like Marge is like not going to sleep. She's like sleep deprived. She won't do it and stuff. And she's like driving someplace and she's like, I'm just not gonna sleep. I'll just keep going. And all of a sudden she like dozes off and her head hits the steering wheel. And she honks the horn. She goes, Meow. She goes, I'll get it. And like opens the door and just like barrel rolls out. And just like the, the catching me off guard, like that one I died on. I'm just like, oh, that was a good ass joke. Like,
right. Totally out of character. Like that was just something you just couldn't see coming.
Right. But if you ask me to tell you another joke that the Simpsons have done, I can't. I can tell you the like the parodies that they've done on of like horror movies and stuff on the Halloween specials, but besides that I got nothing. And I have watched probably like 100 hours of The Simpsons because that's all I got to watch when I was a kid, and the only thing that stuck was that random ass that and the Canyonero, because they had a car that they just had a fake commercial for the Canyonero, and that
it was just catchy enough to stick in your brain.
It was catchy enough. I never forget that one, and like it would burst into flames and shit, and they were still selling it even though they knew it was a job.
Even they knew it was
But yeah, and then like South Park definitely like changed the game
for sure.
So many ways.
Yeah, I think it really blazed the path for those. Like we kicked off the top of this topic with, I think it really blazed the path for Aqua Teen and all those other things where it was like South Park wasn't just reset back then. South Park just reset every time. It's like the whole town would get destroyed.
Right.
Reset. Who cares?
Yeah. Or you can just
well written always, I thought.
Right.
Which is what kept me watching.
Yeah, and you still have to like tell a story, but to be able to tell a new story every time with like whatever you feel like doing,
right? And which they're not doing anymore, but that's not the topic. Not the
point. Right. But I mean, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force did that.
Right.
I think the Brock Show was probably a little bit too much nonsense for everybody, and that's why it didn't stick.
Yep.
You know, that one was insane, but
but even
was parts
C-Lab and all those shit like that.
C-Lab was a genius one because they basically took a cartoon that already exists and we're just like, we're going to voice over it and make it into our own. And then they eventually started animating it to like completely new scenes and doing whatever they wanted to. But I think the first season was them just like dubbing over an old cartoon.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I knew it was an old cartoon. That I thought they were just like making. Shit, that's
no, because it was called C-Lab 2020.
Oh,
the original. That's why at the beginning it shows that 2020, and then like the one kind of falls in place.
Fuck, I know.
Because C-Lab 2021 is the cartoon, like the nonsense
the
version.
Original like the original based on
the original is 2020. The goofy one is 2021.
Right, but I meant the original creation of these guys based on.
Yes,
this is where shit's gonna get weird.
Yeah. And they're all real characters.
And we're going to make an original weird-ass piece out of it.
Yeah. And they're all real characters. I have no idea what any of them sounded like. I don't know. But
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right. We could go on about this all freaking day. But before we do that, we better do the old like and subscribe and all that stuff on YouTube. Please. Seriously, it helps out the podcast. Also, the reviews, iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else that you know of. We're on Amazon. If you got the Amazon music stuff, that's another place to find us. I was going to say Audible, but I don't know how that works. So somebody, if you do, let us know. Because Audible and Amazon, it's kind of goofy right now still. Either way, I know you can find us on the Amazon app. If you look up Real AF TV, remember it's real like fish and real. If you go over to realaf.tv, that's where you find everything from the Patreon to the YouTube link to the Spotify link and everything in between, which is just our links to social media where we are Real AF TV. Real like fish and real. Don't forget, because we are primarily a fishing channel, podcast, videos, social outlet, however you want to look at it. And then in the podcast, we do this weird stuff like talking about cartoons. Tim, what did I forget? I feel like I'm forgetting something in the outro here.
I don't know, man. The Monster Bass, Patreon, those things.
Yeah. Make sure to follow the links in the YouTube description. Yeah. And if you're not on YouTube, shoot over there. Check it out. We're working on more video. We got some. Yeah. We got some in the can, so to say.
And if you're looking for a good kids cartoon, Bluey's the shit.
Dude, all right. Let's roll on Bluey, because seriously, we got into some dad stuff. I knew we would get into some dad stuff, but Bluey, it's Australian? Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Or is it just voiced by Australians?
No, it's definitely like Australian, because I mean, maybe it's just voiced by Australians, but it's definitely written by Australians too, from way